friends, and welcome back to my channel. My name is Tiffany and I am here today for another Foodie Friday Cook With Me video. I am in one of those moods where I just feel like making a delicious, comfort-filled meal that just shows my family how much I love and appreciate them. I have been sick for the past month, it seems, and I am finally feeling better, and I just really want to get in my kitchen and make a really yummy meal. So today I am going to be making a little bit more of a decadent meal, still super easy, but a little bit more decadent, and that is a delicious short rib ragu with some pepperdeli pasta, and I am super excited. I'm ready to relax, pour a glass of wine, make a delicious pasta, and just indulge. I'm also going to make a yummy fall salad that has apples and walnuts and feta cheese and a deliciously sweet and tangy dressing. So without any further ado, let's just go ahead and get started. So for this meal, we're gonna be using short ribs. Now, short ribs are a little bit of a pricier meat. It's definitely not something that I do on the regular. However, like I said, if I'm in a mood where I'm feeling like spoiling my family, this is a really good, easy go-to meal. So this is what it looks like. You're gonna get bone in, so when you are shopping at your grocery store, that's what you're looking for. And short ribs have a really nice marbling. And I don't want you to worry about taking the time to remove all of that delicious fat. We're gonna go ahead and cook our short ribs with all that fat on there, and then we can skim that off of the top when we're done, so that way you don't have like a super fatty sauce. However, it does give a lot of really rich flavor to your meal, and it does keep your meat really tender. So don't take the time to try to remove all of that marbling. We'll do it later. It's much easier. And I will have today's recipe linked for you down in the description box below. And like I said, without any further ado, let's just get right into it. Now, traditionally, when you are cooking any kind of short rib, it is something that you would braise for a very long time to make it nice and tender and delicious. But for today's recipe, you know me, I like to do things quickly. I don't like to wait too long, so we're gonna be busting out the Instant Pot today, and it does make things a little bit easier. The cleanup is just easy, and it's almost a one-pot meal, except for our pasta that we're gonna cook separately. But other than that, everything is gonna be done in our Instant Pot today, including sauteing our vegetables, all of that stuff, searing our meat, everything. So if you don't have an Instant Pot, don't panic. I will find you a recipe that doesn't require an Instant Pot, and I'll have that linked for you down below. But that's what we're gonna be using today. To get us started, we are going to season up our short ribs. For the recipe, you need about 2 pounds. The recipe says that's about 8 pieces of short rib. I think I ended up with 9. And I do think I was closer to 2.5 to 3 pounds. However, it ended up working out just fine. It was plenty of meat, but not too much. And I think it worked out perfectly. So I'm just going to go ahead and salt and pepper all sides of the short ribs, so that way they are nice and seasoned. And then we're going to sear these in our Instant Pot. So we're going to make sure that that gets nice and hot. Do not be afraid to season your meat. If you don't season it now, it's going to be, you know, a little bit bland. So just make sure that you give a good helping of salt and pepper, and turn your Instant Pot to saute. Let that get hot for a minute or two. Go ahead and add in about a tablespoon or 2 of olive oil, and then pop in your short ribs. You're going to cook them for a minute or 2 per side. You're not trying to cook the short rib all the way through. You're just making sure that all sides get browned. This is what helps keep the moisture in and add a really delicious flavor to your short rib. Remember that you want all sides of the short rib to be seared, so make sure that you get the short sides as well. And like I said, you're not focusing on cooking the short rib all the way through. You're just focusing on browning all 4 sides. Once you have all of your pieces browned, go ahead and take those out and put them to the side. We're going to get started with the rest of our ragu sauce before we put these back in. Now we're going to prepare the vegetables for our ragu. The recipe calls for 1 small onion. I only had a large onion, so I'm only going to be using about half of it. Go ahead and dice that up nice and small. Next up, we're going to take 3 pieces of celery. Make sure that you wash them really well. They do get pretty dirty, so give them a good rinse and dice these up really small as well. Next up is our garlic. Because I was in a mood to do some real cooking, I decided to use fresh garlic. So I am just going to peel and dice up a little bit of garlic. The recipe does call for 2 cloves. You know, I had to put in 3, and I probably should have done 4. I like a lot of garlic, so add as much as you prefer as well. Don't be afraid to add in more than the recipe calls for of certain ingredients if that's what you prefer. The recipe also calls for 2 carrots, so I'm going to peel and dice these up and add these into our vegetables as well. Once your vegetables are all done, you're going to go ahead and add those into your Instant Pot. Remember, you're going to keep it on saute. There is already a little bit of olive oil left in there, so a little bit of the fat from your short ribs. So go ahead and saute your vegetables. Let them get nice and soft. This will take a couple of minutes, probably 4 to 5 minutes. You don't have to wait until they're fully translucent because they are going to cook in the pressure cooker, but you do want them to get a good saute. Next up, we're going to add in our wine. We're using 1 cup of red wine. For this recipe, I just picked up an affordable Cabernet at my local grocery store. Go ahead and add that in. Don't be afraid of the wine. All of the alcohol will cook out, so don't worry. This is not going to be an adults only pasta, I promise. But add that in to your vegetables and let that come to a good bubble. And then we're going to add in 2 tablespoons of tomato paste. And go ahead and give that a good stir. Make sure it's fully combined. I can't even tell you how good this was already smelling in my kitchen. Once you have that nice and combined, go ahead and let this cook off for about 5 minutes so that all of the alcohol cooks out, and then we'll move on to the next step. Next up, we're going to add in the rest of our liquids. We're going to start with a 28 ounce can of crushed tomatoes. Make sure that you get ones that are not already seasoned, so no Italian seasoning or anything. And then we're also going to add in some beef broth. For the beef broth, you're going to need, or beef stock, I'm sorry, you're going to need about a cup of beef stock for this recipe. Go ahead and add those in, and again, stir them in, get them fully combined. Once everything is all together, go ahead and put your short ribs back into your sauce. You want to make sure that they are fully covered and they'll be ready to cook in the pressure cooker. Before we close it up and get the pressure cooking, we're going to add in our last few ingredients. You're going to need 2 bay leaves for this recipe, and the recipe also calls for fresh thyme. However, I can never find thyme in my local grocery store, so I did add in a little bit of dried thyme as well as some salt and some pepper, and then we were ready to go. You're going to go ahead and add on your top, and you are going to cook this with the stew setting. So close your lid, make sure that you have it fully closed, make sure that the seal is closed, and you're going to choose the stew setting, and you're going to pressure cook this for 35 minutes. When it's done cooking, you're going to let it naturally release for 10 minutes before taking the lid off. While that's cooking, we're going to get started on our salad. I am putting a little bit of bacon into a pan. Not a whole lot of bacon for this recipe, just enough to give it a little bit of a salty crunch. And while that's cooking, we're going to get started with the base of our salad. So for today's salad, I am using a spring mix, so fresh garden greens. I don't always use this type of salad. This has arugula and it has spinach, but when I have a sweeter salad, I like something that has a good hearty taste, and a spring mix has a little bit of a bitter flavor, and it's absolutely delicious with sweet dressings. I'm also going to be using 2 apples today, so I'm going to peel those and dice them up into bite-sized pieces. We're also going to be using a little bit of red onion today. Now, how much you would like to put in your salad is up to you. It's up to how much you like red onion in your salad. I like a good amount of red onion in mine, so I'm just going to thinly slice these into little rings and they'll be ready to go. Now we're going to get started with our dressing. So I am making dressing from scratch. You could make your own if you wanted, or you could use one that's already made. We're starting with about 1/3 cup of extra virgin olive oil. We're also going to add in a little bit of red wine vinegar. We're going to put in about 1.5 teaspoons of Dijon mustard, some salt, and some pepper. We're going to give that a good shake, help it emulsify. You could do this in a mason jar if you wanted to as well. I'm just using a little takeout container here. But give that a really, really good shake. This is going to help all your ingredients combine. And then to add in a little bit of sweetness, I'm adding in just a touch of maple sugar here. I'm sorry, maple syrup, but it is kind of pure sugar, let's be honest. Go ahead again and give that a good zhuzh, and your dressing is ready to go. You could make a little bit more of this and keep it in your refrigerator, and it'll be ready for any future salads. This is a great salad for Thanksgiving dinner as well. Go ahead and top as much as you would like onto your lettuce. I'm going to give that a good zhuzh, and now we're going to add in our toppings. So some of the apple. We're going to toss in our red onion. We're going to go ahead and combine all of that. It's already smelling absolutely divine. Next up, we're going to chop up our bacon into small bite-sized pieces. This bacon was nice and crunchy and crispy. Again, just going to add in that nice salty flavor into our sweet salad. So top a little bit of that bacon onto the top there. We're also going to add in some chopped walnuts as well as some feta cheese. Then our salad is ready to go. While our short rib ragu is finishing and our water is coming to a boil in the stock pot, I'm going to chop up some fresh parsley to garnish our pasta with. Because I'm using fresh pasta today, I am going to work on our sauce before I drop the pasta in. It's only going to take about 2 minutes to cook, so I want to make sure that everything else is fully ready. So now that our ribs are done, I'm just removing them from the sauce so that I can skim the top of the oil. I'm just using a small measuring cup here, and I am literally just skimming the top. All of the fat will rise and the sauce will be underneath. So I'm just skimming off the fat as much as I can. I ended up taking off about 1.5 cups of fat. So it's up to you, but just keep an eye. If your meat wasn't as oily, then you may not need, or I'm sorry, as fat, you may not need to remove as much oil, but that's how much I am removing from mine. I also have my Instant Pot on saute, so it's staying nice and hot. That's going to allow the sauce to bubble and thicken and make the sauce extra yummy. I'm also going to take some time to shred up the beef, get that put back into the sauce, and it's then time to drop the pasta. Now, as I mentioned, I am using Pepperdeli pasta today, and it is fresh. I buy this in the cheese section of my grocery store, the gourmet cheese section, and this only takes a matter of minutes to cook. I love it. It's so delicious and always so fresh. So you're only going to pop it into your boiling water for about 2 minutes. Give it a good drain. Make sure that your colander is ready to go so that you don't overcook your pasta. And then you're going to toss that into the sauce still in your Instant Pot. Go ahead and give this a good stir. Make sure that you coat all of your noodles. Your ragu should be thickened now because it's been bubbling in the Instant Pot. So it should stick to those nice hearty noodles. Go ahead and grab a bowl, and it's time to dish up your pasta. Okay, my friends, it's my favorite time of the video. It's time to eat. I am dying to dig into this salad. Just been looking at it since I finished making it. So good. So fresh. A little tang from the vinegar. This all by itself could be its own meal, but tonight it's not a meal. Tonight we're pairing it with this delicious ragu. I cannot wait to try this. I love these big giant noodles and they're so fresh. Smells amazing, like you've been cooking all day. The tang of the cheese right on top. And the tenderness of the sauce. Wow. Okay, my friends, that brings us to the end of this Cook With Me video. I hope that you found some inspiration in these recipes that we cooked today. I would highly recommend them for a cold winter's night. Definitely give them a try. So thanks for watching, my friends, and until the next video, happy eating.